Hello. Wow. One moment. I'm just about ready. Okay. All right. We've got to fix a couple of things. The camera angle, for one. This time we're not going to be so wonky. This time we're going to have a little bit more fun. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Quest. Think I might replace my intro. Welcome back to the Quest. There's Gravendall. There's Ribby. Hello, guys. Thank you for dropping in. And I see some other little chibis. Hold on a second. I can't see that. It's too small. 1 second. I have to adjust my camera angle anyway. That's all I can do. Fair enough. All right. Okay, we are here. We are live. And I just got done finishing up the thumbnail and shilling my channel to a Facebook Warhammer group. Maybe those guys will understand. I don't know. I don't see Nicholas. I don't see the awesome Sikh Hashem here today. Ugh. This might be problematic. Worry not. We will figure it out. But you know, even if it's just you guys, it's totally fine. And yeah, I do have a Game of Life Simpsons. You notice all that stuff is on my not fantasy board games shelf. But what I would like, oh, and he's a dork like me. Perfect. Awesome. He is here. Nick is here. I'm here, you gids. Is that orc slang? What did you just call me? I can only tell now if the avatars are on the screen. So you are an orc. I'm surprised. I figured you for a high elf. I'm not exactly sure what the best angle's gonna be. I've got a webcam coming once it's like officially released. I've pre-ordered the Kia Ultra Pro or whatever it's called. Really, really want that webcam. There were others that I really, really wanted, like the Insta360, which is a PTZ, a point tilt zoom, pan tilt zoom camera, and it moves around on its own 3-axis gimbal, and it's got where it can be set up to look at specific preset locations, so I never have to deal with messing with camera positions again. Of course, it only matters if it's kind of able to stay in one spot. So what I was going to do this week was reorganize my entire studio back here and make it to where I had the room to play the games without moving at all. Like I still am at my PC. I just turn my chair and I'm able to play games. But unfortunately, I'm not able to do things that way just yet. But hopefully soon, once I figure out like how I would like to do that, it would be really helpful. So Yeah, thank you. The avatars are a new addition. I was called a goblin. I'm a goblin. Perfect. You know what? I like goblins. That's fine. I like Skaven. I like goblins. I like the idea of the Skaven species as a whole anyway, but I also just like goblins. So there. And we are going to move into view, figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. I can see everything that I need to see, but it's not like in reach. So it's going to be it's still going to be a little awkwardly set up, unfortunately. What if I did this? What if I move these two bad boys right side by side? Is that the green screen? Oh, I gotta get rid of that effect. Hold on. Ah, there we go. I would like to get right into it. I believe I should be at the end of the exploration phase, because my people are so positioned that I feel like that's exactly what I was doing. I just got to the end of the exploration phase by moving. So now I would start the game after I get slightly better angles. Maybe if I move. Can't move that. I can't move that. That's the crux of my problem, I think. The Hero Quest collection. Let me move that off the table. Here. My webcam from last time really did crap out. It is dead, so I have to do things this way with one camera. And unfortunately, I did not make time to do anything else this week. Oh man, this is so terribly set up. Maybe, maybe if I switch that around entirely. And now you're upside down for just a moment. Ha ha. Ah, ha, ha, ha. I wish I could set it up to where, like, the people who have chatted even once just stay. Oh my god, it's mirrored. Hold on. There we go. There we go. After playing with about 16 different effects and filters, this part's done. I'm going to raise this camera up. I think the angle is fine now. I would just like to make everything visible in the shot. So, dice tray here. I don't think you guys will have a problem seeing the dice I roll over here. I keep these little ones, which aren't meant to be rolled, but rather meant to be used as markers, just kind of here out of the way, but I keep them in the dice tray. All right. And as awkward as this is, I think I'm going to get started, because if I don't, it's just not going to happen, right? That's a lot of treasure cards. That's a lot of dang treasure cards. I might have to cut into that deck and say, here's what I'll draw for the dungeon, instead of what I've been doing. All right. My adventure sheets I can have near me. We have Kroger the dwarf. We have Zul the barbarian. We have Nilanor the elf. And we have Cornelius the wizard. And they have just finished their movement, their exploration phase, which means now we go into the power phase again, because there are no enemies on the board, and we have to roll to see if there's any sort of weird events. And I rolled a 3 for that phase. Nothing's happened. That's good. That's good. That does set our wizard's power at 3. And I can cast Ogre Strength, but there's no point in doing that, so I won't worry about it. I'm either a cowboy or a dwarf. Is my avatar wearing a beard or a handkerchief? It is a handkerchief, because I can see behind the blockhead that it ties off. And hello to everybody else who is dropping in. I see that there are 10 folks. If it looks a little bit messy, you might bear with me. I think I might make changes throughout. But for now, I'm still playing with angles and kind of where I need to be focusing and zoomed in and all of that. As it stands, I don't really like the lighting either, but you know what? Let's see what that's like when I turn that down. And off. The overhead lighting's not bad. I might keep that. The text on the dungeon card is flashing on my screen. I don't know why. I'm not going to worry about it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the quest. I'm Amalgam Ash, and we're going to play Warhammer Quest. I've got my 4 adventure cards. I just finished my exploration phase and my power phase, and now I'm ready to go back into the exploration phase because there is no enemies phase. Right? There's no monsters phase. Back to the exploration. So we would go in the turn order of the warrior, wizard, god, barbarian. Why did I call him those two things? And he can move 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Ending our turn here. And then we're going to be drawing from the dungeon deck. T-junction. Excellent. 2 identical gloomy corridors, both roughly dug out from the rock. The T-junction will always be empty unless the adventure book states otherwise or an unexpected event is rolled during the power phase. So, we'll go ahead and put our doors on here first. Clank. And I could put the other door on. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close off the rest of the dungeon off camera so that it's a little bit more wieldy. It's a little bit easier to handle. I will maintain the configuration of the rooms in case I decide to run away and need to roll power phases on the way or anything like that, just to be able to keep my gold and stuff. But I'm definitely going to move them away because the bard was right. You know, you always know how much room a game of Hero Quest is going to take up, but you never know how much room one of these kinds of games is going to take up. It's not a problem, we'll just adapt. So, our T-junction has been drawn, and this is how I shall move it. Good morning, Elviler. Welcome to the stream. I like your stream avatar. They're randomly assigned, but sometimes they're oddly fitting. And welcome, Panzer86. Hello to Sweden from the Midwest of the United States. All right, we've got our barbarian who went 1, 2, 3. So, just so I can get into the swing of doing these room reveals quickly, is it correct to move my barbarian his last space into the room, then take the rest of the hero's turn as normal, and then start the monster's phase? Or I guess the power phase, and then the monster's phase. No. Do the monsters get put down? They wouldn't get put down immediately, right? I may be misremembering how I did it last time. The phases of play and the monsters being placed on the board versus the monsters taking their turn has tripped me up every time so far. All right, so I'll revisit the sequence of play and the rules then, because I am not remembering correctly. Power phase is very quick. Warriors phase, we prepare to explore further into the dungeon. Monsters phase, if there's any monsters on the board, they can move and fight during this phase. Exploration phase, during this phase, the warriors may try to determine what lies beyond an unexplored doorway. Once the exploration phase is complete, the turn is over. Monsters can be placed on the board during the power phase, but they don't attack. If you roll an unexpected event that places monsters. Warriors phase, the warriors take turns exploring one after another. So basically, we are in the warriors phase. But we have to move up to a doorway which has no adjoining board section, then I have to halt. Then that begins, after the hero's phase is done, the warrior's phase, the monster's phase. Monster's phase is irrelevant while there's no monsters on the board, then the exploration phase. To explore, the leader must be positioned next to a doorway that leads into an unknown part of the dungeon. So that's happened. In the exploration phase, the player declares he is exploring, takes a card from the top of the dungeon deck, and I've done that. I've clipped it. It's a good idea to place the dungeon card face up on the new board section. That I should be getting into the habit of. To remind yourself that no one has entered it yet. The warrior's phase will be able to move it into it in the next turn of the warrior's phase. There's no obligation to do so. If you find a T-junction, place the board section on your playing surface as normal. Now, before you do anything else, you must divide the dungeon deck. Ah, crap. Dealing from the bottom of the dungeon deck, deal out one card at a time to the left and to the right until you have two separate decks. Crap, crap, crap. And now I'm looking back and seeing the help from Nick. Thank you, Nick. And good morning, Ward Icon. He comes back and he has the same stream avatar as before. That's really, really nice that it works like that. One, da, 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 da. I remember reading this rule and feeling very ambivalent about needing to do that because that could extend the amount of time that we're in the dungeon, which is fine, but it makes things very dangerous. All right, this actually doesn't go back under. This gets discarded. Okay. New round, new power phase. That's a 4. A good number. I like that number. Put that there. And now it's the Warriors phase. Right. Warriors phase it is. Everybody moves 4. Barbarian is going 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it goes Elf, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dwarf, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wizard can't move at this time. Crap. So I've split them up, but it's okay, because nobody has to be right next to the Barbarian anyway. Monsters phase is nil. Exploration is nil. And back to the power phase. I haven't rolled a 1 yet during the power phase. My time is coming. It's not going to be nice. Another 4. I don't have to change my marker. Good deal. Back to the Warriors phase. I believe I will have the Barbarian just move up towards the center, because I think I'm going to go through this door here. And the dungeon deck on the left will represent that door. So this is the one I'll be drawing from. I'll turn this one to the side. Now, we have the elf. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dwarf. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wizard. 1, 2. Well, actually, the dwarf would go after the wizard. Sorry about that. 1. Just place him here. We'll be done. Goodbye to that section of corridor for now. Have you watched the Dungeon Dives Let's Play Warhammer Quest video series? I watched that as I was first reading the rules, and seeing it helped me see the rules in action. Really helped it sink in. No, but I will do that because I think that will help things sink in a bit more. Never played Warhammer Quest, but bought the adventure box to get some new heroes to Mordheim. My chat is almost impossible to see. I'll have to address that. You cannot see the chat on screen. It's extremely muddy. But the little avatars talk, so I guess there's that for now. And if you're just using YouTube, you don't have to worry about seeing it on the screen necessarily. We've rolled a 4. That was the Warriors phase, but it's time, once again, for a new power phase. That's a 1. Unexpected event. The 1 on the power phase sucks so badly because you just get 1 power for your wizard, and you have to flip over an event card. Turn over the top card of the event deck and follow the instructions. Sometimes you may find a clue to help you in your quest, although it is more likely you'll meet some monsters. If the event card is a special event, it has an E in the top corner, resolve it immediately as described on the card. 1 Minotaur. Wounds 15, move 6, weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 attacks. Oh boy. Alright. Before fighting the Minotaur, take another event card. If this is an event, resolve it before fighting the Minotaur. If it reveals more monsters, fight them all at once. We're gonna die, aren't we? 6 Goblin Archers. Beautiful. Lovely. We have 2 here. And we'll get our people out. The Minotaur, I'll go ahead and place in front of the Barbarian. Welcome, TSL Frontman. I hope you got your dice okay. And then the goblins should be placed as far away from the heroes as possible, which actually means they'll be in the adjoining corridor. Whilst remaining on the same or adjoining board section and still able to see their target. So yes, adjoining board section. This is about to suck a lot. These guys are off camera, but they're all taking up 6 spaces on the adjoining board section, which is the corridor. Should be pulling a token to see who the Minotaur attacks. I could do that. Also, thank you. Tore up the map in my childlike jubilation. My first quest was to repair the map. That's okay. It was not well packaged. The stinking envelope was exactly the size of the map folded in half, and there was barely any wiggle room to get it in there, so I feared that people would just miss the map altogether, opening the package, dumping out the dice. Whatcha? And it's the wizard, because of course it's the wizard. Where did this guy come from? He was just silently sneaking up behind us the whole time? Following an unexpected event, attacking monsters are placed on the board in the power phase as already described. The monsters do not fight until the monsters phase, which comes after the warriors phase. This means that the warriors will normally fight before the monsters. However, some monsters have a special attack which is resolved as soon as the models are placed. This is indicated in the card. Such monsters are very dangerous because they fight before the warriors have a chance to strike. Fortunately, most monsters which attack in this way are small and relatively weak, such as giant bats. I also hope the solo quest was fun to play. Those are exclusive solo quests that I shall not reveal to anyone, except those who have won dice during giveaways. Now, it's time for the warriors phase, and the barbarian needs to go first, but the barbarian cannot freaking reach the Minotaur. He's got no way to do it. And regardless, I think I have to roll for his berserk anyway. Which I'm just gonna do. Well, that's great. That's a 6. That doesn't do me any good, but it's not a 1, so it's good. Now, next up is the elf. Oh boy. The elf does have a sword and a bow. 1d6 plus 3 wounds. But I think I'm going to go ahead and use the elf to attack this Minotaur. So I'm going to go around him. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to attack him from behind. Not that it matters that we're behind him. The Minotaur has a weapon skill of 4. And because of that, I'm going to need to roll at least a 4 to hit him. I don't want to back up and shoot, I don't think. Because we've still got plenty of room around the Minotaur. Well, my ballistic skill is 4. My weapon skill is 4. So I guess I really don't have an advantage to using one over the other, since they both have the exact same amount of wounds that they cause anyway. Yes, line of sight works differently than in Warhammer Quest than it does in Hero Quest. All of the miniatures on the board right now can see one another, all of them, because there's no wall obstructing. Everybody can fire right on over each other's heads. It's absolute chaos. So, next, yeah, we'll go ahead and roll to hit. Roll a 4. Yes, I rolled a 4. Now it's time to roll a 6. Just go ahead and roll a 6, please. Well, a 2 is not good. That's short range. That's a total of 6, and the Minotaur has a toughness of 4, so we have done 2 damage to the Minotaur. I'll go ahead and count up the damage that we do, count up the wounds, and place that small red dice right there. Right there. Yeah, so if you are very, very tall or large model and you fire a ranged weapon over a short model, it's assumed that you fire over their heads. And if you're a very short model firing through a large model, it's assumed that you fire right through their legs. Both of these require a lot of trust on the firee's part. All right, that was the elf's attack. Next is the wizard, and I have got jack all for attacks here, so I think I'm going to use Ogre Strength, and I'll use that on the dwarf. So I'm going to have to use the 1 that I rolled for the power phase, as well as 2 of my power tokens, and I'm going to go ahead and discard those. And Ogre Strength, picking any warrior on the board, including the wizard this turn, the chosen warrior is at +2 to his strength for the purpose of resolving damage. Works for me. And we will now have this dwarf. 2, 3. We'll go ahead and do 4, and we'll attack the monster diagonally, because that's a thing that we can do. The wizard, I'm going to leave there, I think. Should I? Is the wizard pinned? Wizard can now either attack. You're right. You're right. That's different. That's not an action. So we will go ahead and attack. Fruitless as I think it may be. We won't have moved the dwarf yet. I will attack. I will attack. A 1. A 1. That definitely doesn't work, so never mind. The dwarf will move back here, diagonal to the Minotaur, and go ahead and attack. That's a 6. And that definitely hits. Good morning, Moseth. Welcome to the stream. And whatever I roll is going to have +2 to strength for the purpose of resolving damage. And that's a 5, so it's a total of 7. Unfortunately, the stupid Minotaur still has a toughness of 4, so we only get 3 wounds in. 3 plus 2 is 5, and that is currently what the Minotaur is setting at in terms of wounds. He has 15. So I'm in trouble with this guy. Fair enough. That's over. It's time for the monsters phase. Oh, the Minotaur is going to attack first. The wizard has a weapon skill of 2. So, the Minotaur has to roll a 3. That's a 6. Even though it landed on top of my dice here, I have to count it. Yay! When a Minotaur hits a warrior, roll 2 dice to see how many wounds it causes, adding its strength of 4 to the total. I'm gonna die. That's 7 plus 4 is 11. That's the total. And the wizard has a toughness of 3, which only takes that down 3, and he suffers 8 wounds. Oh, 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 oh. Cornelius. Oh, you poor thing. He only has 11, so he's down to 3. 3 wounds. Hi, Moseth. I've been watching your solo Warhammer RPG series. I need to check that out. I didn't know you had that going on. TSL Frontman. Hey, Ash. Thanks for the Quest Jam fact video Monday. Good. I'm glad somebody got use out of that. I really am. I didn't know if it was going to be helpful. But yeah, I hope it did make things more accessible. Gotta start work now. Good luck, heroes. Good luck, TSL. May you roll all attack skulls. May you roll all skulls with your attacks. I can't think about Hero Quest right now. And the Minotaur gets 2 attacks. Don't remind me. Second attack. Alright, so the second attack, still have to roll first to see if he hits, right? Please, yes? Right? Because he could miss the second attack, right? 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 Okay. That's how I read it, but I wanted to be sure before I made a fool out of myself on camera again. Second attack is a 4, and that does hit, unfortunately. So, that's a total of 10 plus 4, which is 14, and the wizard has died. Goodbye, wizard. Ugh. That's going to be very problematic, I can tell. I'm not sure that these 3 warriors are going to be able to do this, but let's get this barbarian moved in. That was just the Minotaur. I still haven't done the goblins yet. Alright, stupid goblins. Here we go. Depends on who they're attacking. So the rule of 1-on-1, we'll go ahead and just have 2 goblins attack the elf, 2 goblins attack the dwarf, and 2 goblins attack the barbarian. We'll have 2 of them go ahead and attack the barbarian now. We'll go ahead and just roll the 2 hit dice here. And the barbarian has, we're doing 1 for each goblin that's attacking. I'm just going to try to resolve them quickly. The barbarian has a weapon skill of 3, and that means the goblins have to roll a 4, so those first 2 goblins miss the barbarian. The Git's turn. Needs a better death noise. Thanks, Ribby. All right, hold on, let me redo that. Let me just role play it out for you. You shall not pass. The line worked in the movies. There's your death noise. You're welcome. Oh, that's right. It's not weapon skill, it's ballistic skill. They need to roll 5 or more to hit. So that they did miss regardless, but thank you for pointing that out. I knew I was doing something incorrect. 2 goblins will now attack the dwarf. One of them did hit the dwarf, and for what? Wait, it's 1d6 plus 1 wound. Yes, so 5 altogether. And the dwarf has a toughness of 4, 5. Because of his chainmail. Yeah, he completely blocks that. Holy crap. Why is the dwarf a powerhouse? With the great axe, the dwarf rolls an extra dice for wounds and chooses the highest score. He adds his strength as normal. I didn't do that. I need to pay more attention and make sure that I do that for his next successful attack. All right, the last 2 goblins are going to fire at the elf. And one of them does hit. And that's 1d6 plus 1. Plus a strength of 1. Wounds. That's 3, 4. Oh, because it has a strength of 1. The dwarf would have taken 1 hit, actually. He would have taken 1 wound. Whoops. A goblin's bow has strength 1 and causes 1d6 plus 1 wounds. So that has to be added into how many wounds total before deducting the toughness of the dwarf. So that first one would have inflicted 1 wound on the dwarf. Ribby, thank you so much for the 2 USD. I'm glad my dramatization of that death was able to provide some entertainment. Anytime. Earthquake! Hello, Glenn Davis. Welcome to the stream. And yes, the dwarf is built like a short, stout powder keg. I can agree with that. Good grief. He's ridiculous. Okay, well, I overlooked the strength plus 1. That 1 little sliver of damage would have gotten through to the dwarf, so I will make sure to go ahead and deduct that 1 damage now. Where's my pencil? There it is. Kruger is down to 12 wounds. I think Kruger's going to go on a murderous rampage here very shortly. One of those 2 dice did hit the elf, but I'm going to go ahead and roll for wounds again because I can't remember what I rolled last time. Goblin's bow has strength 1 and causes 1d6 plus 1 wounds. So because it did hit, that's 4 plus 1 wound plus the strength. So that's 6 total. The elf has a toughness of 3, which means 3 wounds get through. His starting wounds were 10. He is now at 7. I would say it's not looking good for our heroes, but in truth, it's really just because of the Minotaur. So we'll begin this turn by the exploration phase, which is now over, and because it can't even happen. And back to the power phase. We still have to roll the power phase, even though the wizard's dead, because we have to make sure that we don't roll unexpected events. So we really don't want to roll a 1. We've rolled a 5. No unexpected events. No power. The barbarian will now move in the hero's phase. 1, 2, 3. Maybe actually he'll stop here for the reason of if he goes berserk, he won't hit his fellow heroes, but now I'm going to roll for his berserkness. And I got a 4, so no berserkness there. I've got no enemies slayed this turn. So that is actually fine. Doesn't bother me any. Let's continue. He will attack the Minotaur. Now, before I attack, this is going to be 1d6 plus 4 wounds. Interesting. Interesting. So the barbarian has, if I do hit the Minotaur, the barbarian has a... Let me actually show you what I'm looking at so you guys have some reading material. Sword, causing 1d6 plus 4 wounds. Because that is spelled out there, but my strength is also 4, so would I add the strength as well? No. Not according to what you just told me. It's not as well. D6 plus strength for damage. So they're just spelling it out for me here. They're just saying, hey, it causes D6 plus 4 wounds because you have a strength of 4. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I made sure to look at a couple of the hero cards before I even thought about coming to that conclusion. And I do see that the elf has a strength of 3. His sword and his bow both cause 1d6 plus 3 because his ballistic skill is... Or because his strength is 3. Sorry. Yep. The wizard has a weapon, or wait, where are you at? The wizard has a strength of 3, and his sword causes 1d6 plus 3 wounds. Okay, so it is accounting for the strength already. No, I didn't add the goblin strength on top. Because they attacked with ranged. It was the damage that was described on the card. Whoa. Talk about an earthquake. No, I didn't add the goblins. I don't think I added the goblin strength. The bow has strength 1 and causes d6 plus 1 wounds. No, I guess I... I did add the strength 1 because I asked about that, and was told yes, but now I think that's incorrect. Because it has a strength of 1, the strength is included in the specification. It causes 1d6 plus 1 wounds. I don't think I add the 1d6 and the 1 in the strength, because the frame of reference that I have is I don't add the strength for anything else if it's already mentioned, or if the same number is already mentioned in the description. So I don't take a hit on the dwarf. I did not do that correctly. And now I know. It's 1d6 plus 1. That's all good and fine. It's just getting used to it, is all. All right. Now the barbarian is finally going to attack. He's thirsting for blood. He wants this minotaur steak on a plate. Now. That's a 6. We hit. Thank goodness. No barbaric rage, no berserkness, but I did roll a 6 on the attack, and so I do get to attack him. Now it's time for damage. This is going to be 1d6 plus 4 wounds. That's a 4 plus a 4. That's 8. This cow man soaks up 4 of that, but he takes 4 wounds. So we are going to just add a second little marker dice with a 4 on it to his total. We actually have kind of a chance to slay him with the heroes that we have adjacent to him right now on this turn. Soon it will be natural. I have no doubt about that, but I have to make sure I get consistent answers too. That'll help me out. Now, Cowman, we're going to attack you with the elf. That's a horrible miss. Are there any special rules? Whenever an opponent hits him, the elf can attempt to dodge the blow, causing it to miss completely. I didn't try to even do that. Oh well, I'll let it go this time. Next time somebody hits the elf, I'll do it though. It is... Let's see, the wizard's turn now. Wizard's dead. It's the dwarf's turn now. I have a great axe. And this gives me some help. But first, I need to see if I hit the Minotaur. I usually take the Minotaur cards out for the first few quests. I don't mind playing like this. If I get to a point where I need to flee, which may be the case, I'll have some gold, and I can see how things work out in the after quest. Because I really, really like the idea of being able to leave and purchase some equipment, if possible, or go into my next quest with more knowledge, which will be the same one, because I'm not going to skip quests. At least I'm pretty sure I'm not. And I'll go ahead and roll. We'll go ahead and roll, see if our dwarf has any better luck than the elf did. He's got a 4. The Minotaur's weapon skill is 4, and I do hit. That is exactly what I need to hit. So the dwarf now attacks. I will roll an extra dice for wounds, and I will choose the highest score, then add my strength as normal. If he rolls a double, he adds the dice together, and then adds to strength for the total score. Wouldn't it be amazing if I rolled a double? Wouldn't it be amazing if I rolled 2 6s? Wouldn't it be just hilarious if I rolled a double 1, because if I do that, the attack goes horribly wrong. I trip over my beard, and I must spend the rest of the turn getting up. And while he's doing so, any monsters attacking him add +2 to their hit rolls. That is horrible. But it didn't happen. That would have been an amazing roll if either of those numbers were double to the other, but we'll take the 6 for sure. And we're going to add our toughness of, not our toughness, our strength of 3, and that's 9. The Minotaur soaks up 4 of that, but I will continue to damage him for 5. So I'm going to put another marker dice down here for that last 5, and the Minotaur is down to 1 wound. Hurrah! Huzzah! I'm very happy about that, because the Minotaur is worth quite a bit of gold. Unfortunately, it's the monster's turn, and they might actually kill us. The Minotaur is going to swing at the Barbarian. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But here we go. His weapon skill is 4. The Barbarian's weapon skill is 3. I'm going to have to roll a 4. I'm going to have to roll a 4, and I don't. I miss as the Minotaur. And that's amazing. Yes, Minotaurs are way overpowered for a new party. 1 isn't too bad. If you roll up 3, your party's in trouble. Oh, if I roll 3 Minotaurs, I'm just going to run. I'm going to run. The Barbarian's going to take off with the lantern and all. And if the other heroes can't keep up and they get lost in the catacombs, that is on them for not running fast enough. That's the Minotaur's first attack. He's now going to do a second attack. And he misses. Amazing. Missed both attacks against the Barbarian. Minotaur is angry. He does not like having pieces of him carved out like a Christmas beef. That's not a thing, Ash. 2 of the goblins are now going to fire upon the Barbarian. And they do so. One of them does hit with his 6. And that goblin is going to take 1d6 plus 1 wounds. That's a total of 6 wounds. The Barbarian soaks up 4 of them because of his thick furs and his natural toughness. He suffers 2 wounds thusly. He's down to 12. This is actually the first hit that he's taken. Hit by a goblin. My barbarians, I do not like for them to be hit by goblins. I think that that's very embarrassing on the barbarian's behalf. Okay, the next 2 goblins are firing their arrows at the elf. One of them does hit. However, the elf has special rules that I will now read. Whenever an opponent hits him, the elf can attempt to dodge the blow, causing it to miss completely. Roll 1d6, and on a score of 6, the elf dodges the incoming blow. Each turn, the elf may either shoot with his bow or attack in hand-to-hand combat. Okay. That's fine. I was already doing that, so I'm in good shape there. He rolls a 5. He does not dodge it. Therefore, the goblin hits, and he hits with a 5 plus 1. That's a 6. The elf has toughness of 3. He soaks up 3 of those and gets wounded with the other 3, bringing his wounds down to 4. And now it is my turn to completely shake up these catacombs. The last 2 goblins who are going to fire upon the dwarf. Neither of them hit. Exploration phase is nil. Do we have an event? No. Thank God. And I'll repeat that sentiment every time I don't roll a 1. Thank Sigmar. The hero phase now begins. The barbarian fell over. The Minotaur. The Minotaur is the barbarian of chaos. Fell right over. The barbarian is going to roll for berserk. That's a 3. He does not go berserk. He will attack the Minotaur. Minotaur's got a weapon skill of 4, so Barbarian needs to roll a 4. And he does. He rolls a 6. And he now attacks with a 5. And his strength of 3 added to that takes out this Minotaur. This is a bit of a dramatic win for me, so I guess I'll play this out. I would hate to leave my wizard unavenged. Miramzul. What was the wizard's name? Cornelius. Me avenge Cornelius. Ah! Ugh. Minotaurs are made of sturdier stuff than that, Zul. Ugh. What that behind you? Slice. Okay. That'll do. The Minotaur is dead. We're going to take his miniature and place it on the Barbarian's adventure record for now. If we can get out of here. If we can get out of here, we'll be able to take that gold back to town. Zul needs a new pair of sandals. Alright, that was Zul. He's fine. I think where he's at. It's these guys' turn. My dwarf is just going to start plowing into these goblins, but first it's the elf's turn. And I think I'll go ahead and hang back. I'll hang back because I would rather they fire their arrows at us and potentially miss. I like that idea a lot. So we'll go ahead and stay back. And the elf will fire. And it's a 1. That's a miss. Doesn't work. So that's his turn. I'm not going to have him move or anything. But it's the dwarf's turn next. So he's going to move 2 spaces and immediately attack this first archer or goblin. That is a 6, but I'm not going to count it because I want it to land in the tray. It's a 5. Good enough. I have hit. I don't... Yeah, okay. I'll have to roll 2 dice for wounds and pick the higher one. The 4. I shall pick the 4. And that's just going to kill that goblin. That goblin died in 1 fell swoop, so we're going to take advantage of a death blow. And the dwarf goes right into the next goblin, and he does hit him. And for wounds, he causes 3 plus the toughness that he has of... strength, rather, not toughness. 3, so that's 6, and that goblin dies. No! 2 goblins. Down. Thanks to Kruger. Kruger! This is actually happening slightly off camera. Let's fix that. Kruger took out 2 archer goblins, but now it is the exploration phase and then the power phase. I don't want to roll a 1. I don't want to roll a 1. I rolled a 4. Thank God. Back to the archer goblins. 2 of them are going to, well, 1 of 2. 2 of them are going to fire at the barbarian. And neither of them hit. 1 is going to fire at the elf. It doesn't hit. And the last one's going to fire at the dwarf. And it doesn't hit. Checking chat. Huzzah, 440 gold. Mozeth is the last avatar on the screen. It's just Mozeth. I have one thing I need to do to my sound really quick. Hold on. There. Yeah, it's much better. I'm not nearly as muddied up now. Okay. Back to the power phase. Feels like I just rolled that phase, but Back to it. That's a 4. Keep getting 4s every time I roll for power. What say you all if I just do 4s every time instead of rolling? Kidding. I wish. Barbarian 1, 2, 3, 4. He won't make it all the way to the goblins. So I'll just have him move to the edge of this doorway, and he'll hang back and chill out right there. Elf. Elf is going to go ahead and fire on the goblin in his vicinity. Ah, your dice arrived today. Awesome, Mozeth. Don't forget to be careful opening that package. There's a one-shot quest in there for a solo adventurer to check out. That is for you to enjoy. Of course, if anybody wants to share that stuff, that's fine. I'll keep it exclusive to you guys. That's a 3. The enemy's weapon skill is a 2, and I do hit the goblin that I'm targeting, which we're going to say is this one. I didn't specify beforehand, but I don't think it matters too much. That's the one I'm going to kill right now. That's a 4 plus my weapon skill of 3, and he is taken out. I guess that's the one disadvantage of not going up and using melee. I don't get a death blow on bows. I don't get a death bow. Yeah, if we could just have a death bow with our death blow, I think that would be pretty cool. What is the most dangerous enemy in Warhammer Quest? That is without a doubt the Minotaur. You only get 3 of them, as opposed to the myriad of other enemies that you get. And with 15 wounds, they're just ridiculous. They're awful. Kill the goblins! It's the dwarf's turn. He's going to move right in here, right in the thick of things, and roll to attack. The first one here. That's 4. He does hit. Does he? Oh my god. And I've rolled Snake Eyes on my damage roll, which means the dwarf has actually tripped over his beard. Having done so, we lay him down to remind ourselves that he's a clumsy, witless, half-pint-sized fool who can't so much as lift an axe, let alone swing it. And yes, I'm being very difficult on him right now. I'm being very hard on him right now. Double ones. He's tripped over his beard. He gets a -2, basically. When monsters attack, they get to add 2 to their hit rolls. Well, the rule of 1-on-1 states that these guys are not going to all target the dwarf. We will go ahead and have each goblin attacking one hero because they can. And it would be the monster's phase now. So, tuck that beard into his belt. The first goblin will strike out at the barbarian and miss with a roll of 1. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The second one will fire his arrow at the elf, and that's a roll of 6, and he definitely hits. What's the damage? It's 4 plus 1. That's 5. The elf soaks up 3 of those, and he lets the other 2 get through to hit him. The elf has 2 wounds left. Here's our standing, by the way. Kruger has all 13 of his wounds. He's fine. The barbarian has 12. He's actually really, really fine himself. The elf has 2. He's kind of in danger. But he does have... My equipment cards got mixed up. Oh, 1 second here. Let's see. The wizard had the Hand of Death scroll. The dwarf had a rope. The barbarian has a lantern. And the healing potion goes to the elf. The elf does have a healing potion. It'll bring him back up to full wounds. It can only be used once and is then discarded. So, we will need to definitely use that in the next hero phase. The third goblin goes ahead and attacks the dwarf who's on the ground. He's got a hit roll, +2. That's fine. It's for, I'm going to say +2 because while it is ballistic, he can't hit with ballistic. He's got to use melee because he's right next to him. And so that does hit anyway. He's going to use his stabber. His stabber! He definitely hit, though. For adding 2 to his weapon skill of 2, which is 4, and the dwarf's weapon skill is 4. So yeah, he does hit. He does hit the dwarf. He would not have been able to, though, without that disadvantage. What does he hit him for? He hits him for 1, and that does not get past the dwarf's toughness. I really don't have to worry about the dwarf getting hurt at all, it seems. We are into the exploration phase, which can't happen, and then back to the power phase. We rolled a 2 for the power phase, so no unexpected events, which is good. It means we get to finish these guys off. The dwarf is able to get back up, and the barbarian now gets to move. So the barbarian will move 1, 2, 3, 4. The dwarf is like, I've got this. I don't need your help. And the barbarian is like, Zul squash goblin. He really doesn't care. We will go ahead and roll for berserk. And we have a 3, which means no berserk. Even added the minotaur to that. We don't have a 6. So we'll go ahead and attack the first goblin that we see. That's a 5, and that definitely hits. And it doesn't really matter what he rolls after that. This goblin is out, dead. We add the goblin to his adventure sheet. The monster chart scales with the hero's levels, I believe, but not sure how you determine those kinds. The hit chart in the back of the book determines what hits as far as melee goes. The attacker's weapon skill is regarded against the defender's weapon skill, and these numbers don't change. The first time that I played, I considered that they might change based on which hero you are and what level that hero is, but that's not true. The heroes just grow in weapon skill, and when they do that, they have an advantage, but it's still consistent with the numbers in that table. So higher level heroes are able to hit monsters more easily in some rolls. Now it is the elf's turn, and I'm going to use that healing potion. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the healing potion over. He does not have it. It is counted as discarded, and I'm going to bring his wounds all the way back up. He needs it. He deserves it, this poor elf. The next thing I'm going to do with the elf is fire my bow at, we'll say, this goblin right here. There are monster tables that you roll on and face different, tougher monsters. Would that be covered in the adventure book? Then, of course, you need to buy new minis. The Games Workshop way. This is the way. And it's a fine way. It's fine. It's fine. I I actually don't have a problem with the classic Games Workshop way of doing things. It might seem kind of like draconic because it's like you you play this game, you want extensibility. Oh, but if you want this character and these stats, you have to get this specific model. It's as if proxying doesn't exist at all. But I mean, it's kind of fine. Oh, it's that way in the role play book. Okay. And I'm guessing we can't level unless we are implementing the role play rules. Ugh. I have to tell you, if this goes the way of the video game, I don't know that there will be a Wednesday stream, but if it is a little more reasonable, then it'll be fine. We're going to take out these goblins. Guys, we're going to do that with the... What was the last thing I did? I managed to hit a goblin. Or did I not do that yet with my elf? Yeah, I haven't done it yet. Let's fire the arrows. They definitely hit, and they definitely did 4 damage. This guy's taken out. He's gone. Put him right on the elf sheet. That's the second one the elf is taken out. Now the dwarf, and the dwarf is just going to straight up attack this goblin. That's a 6. Doesn't even matter what he rolls at this point. His 2 plus his toughness, his strength of 3, 5. And the goblin has a strength, or toughness, I mean. I'm going to get those 2 words confused a lot. But I'm not going to confuse their roles in the gameplay. I just need to get the terminology correct. Toughness of 3 soaks up 2 of those, but the strength takes him out, and he's dead. We have completed the murdering of the goblins. And so, that's the 3rd goblin that goes on Kruger's adventure sheet. I'm now going to exchange all of my monsters for rewards. We've got our 3 night goblins that Kruger took out that are worth 20 gold each, and he gets 60 to go along with his 110. The barbarian gets 440 plus 60 for the one, plus 20, not 60, for the one goblin archer that he took out. So 460 altogether. And Nilanor the elf took out 2 of these guys. He gets a total of 40 gold to go along with his 80 that he already had. We will now draw a treasure card. Put these guys back into the bottom of the event card deck. Well, that's a lot of support. Don't give up. I had 3 TPKs before I had a party survive, so I could actually start leveling up when I first started. Be ready to die several times if you're just starting out. Little Monk estimates there's a 75% death rate for level 1 heroes. Ugh. I hate to hear that. But well, it would really be hard not to do the stream knowing that people do like it. I would love to see you continue Warhammer Wednesday for a long time. Thank you, Glenn. And thank you, Nick. We get a Stone of Bravery. This has got to be, and before I read the card, this is one of the most cop-out treasures. This isn't a dig at the board game or its design or a dig at the person who designed this card. I cannot help but imagine that the barbarian finds a rock as treasure, and he starts to get angry, and the other party members are like, oh god, he's getting angry. And the elf steps forward and he says, wow, it's the fabled Stone of Bravery. And the barbarian immediately calms down and he's like, the what? And the The elf goes on to give him this lore. This stone gives great confidence to the bearer, such that fear seems but a dream. Which, this sort of thing isn't valuable to a barbarian anyway, because they don't have fear. They don't know what that is. But this valuable semi-precious stone is worth 250 gold. For RPG version, which we're not implementing yet, the bearer of this stone is largely unaffected by fear and terror and gains +1 to fear rolls and +1 to terror rolls. I see. Well, that's good. But anyways, we'll give this to the dwarf. I don't need a stone of bravery. No, you don't, but you need the money when we get out of here. It's a pet rock. Death is part of the charm of the game. I guess if I go into it thinking that way, I can figure out how to enjoy it that way. I want to feel that there's progression. So if I want to play a game where I know that I have to die, then that's going to be Dungeon Quest. For sure. I'm already in the headspace where it's like, Dungeon Quest, I will expect to die. I will just plan on dying the most fantastic way possible. Warhammer Quest, it's a brutal challenge. And while it's much, much cleaner than Advanced Hero Quest, which I have more than a few issues with as far as how much I feel it is convoluted. Not a bad game, and not an unfun game, mind you. It's something I really want to dig into and play. But at this point, I'm not going to touch it until I've mastered this. Because if I start playing this, I'll never learn either of these two games. The rule sets will overlap, my brain will melt out of my ears, and I will not be able to play either of them ever again. But if I can wrap my head around, okay, we might die going into this, and all of our time will be for nothing, then, I can teach myself how to enjoy it regardless. As it stands, going in here with the mindset of, I need reward so I can leave and feel like I've done something significant, that 75% death rate is going to take its toll on me. But I will try to adjust my strategy here, because one of the things I think I might want to do is go ahead and leave the dungeon. We're leaving the body of our poor wizard, but I need to see exactly what happens if somebody does flee the dungeon. So I'm going to check this out really quick. Combat, death blow, wounded warriors, shooting, healing, dead warriors. When a warrior is killed, all his gold treasure cards are lost. Remaining warriors must leave all their dead companions' treasure behind, along with his body. The exception is equipment cards. Each warrior begins the game with one item of equipment. If the warrior is killed, then his item may be taken by another player. Obviously, the most important of these items is a lantern. Oh, I didn't take the Wizard's Hand of Death scroll. Man, if I had cast this against the Minotaur, my wizard might have still been alive. The Hand of Death spell may be cast against any one monster and causes 3d6 wounds with no modifier for armor. The spell costs no power to cast. The scroll may only be used once and is then discarded. Oh my gosh. A moment for all the pickles and sons of pickles you lost. You've got this dealing with death thing down, Ash. Those are individual heroes, though. That's not a TPK. A TPK is a special instance where if you put a lot of time into the adventure, I'm not speaking on behalf of me, but I'm thinking of my table, and everybody's table is different. But if I TPK'd my table, I don't think my regular table, my party of adventurers would want to retry the quest. I think that they would actually all vote, for better or for worse. I think they would vote for skipping that quest the next time we played, regardless of lore or anything, if it was Hero Quest. So in that instance, it's hard to get a TPK. Now, I can get a TPK in games like Warhammer Quest for the PC, and while it annoys me, it's still fine because it's not like I put a lot of time into it. I'm just one person, and if the people watching are entertained, then everything's fine. But it's such a great game. It really shines when you get a few levels and start using the RPG book and rules. I'm trying to figure out if it's okay for me to even run. So I'm just going through the book, and I don't see where I can run away. Maybe that's the adventure book. Creating your own event cards. Escaping, there it is. Sometimes the warriors might find themselves in a situation that can only mean certain death for them all. In these cases, it's best that the party abandons its venture and heads for the safety of the surface as quickly as possible. Any player may decide that his warrior has had enough and can try to escape from the dungeon. If the warrior carrying the lantern decides to leave prematurely, he either has to give the lantern to the other warriors, or they all have to go with him. If your warrior takes flight and tries to escape from the dungeon, roll 2d6 on the following table. Oh, God. Oh, God. There's a table to roll on. Well, gotta get over that annoyance in this game. Well, it'll sound confrontational, but I don't have to get over that annoyance. I can choose not to play if it's not rewarding for me. And despite liking it for what it is, it's something that I can sit back and either try to modify such that it becomes fulfilling and rewarding for me to play, or I can truly try to understand it for what it is. So in some instances, yeah, that's true. There are two ways to escape. Easiest in this case would be to walk back to the main entrance, rolling for power throughout. The escape table is too deadly. You only use the escape table if you can't backtrack. So, I would like to know where that one is. Where is that where it says I can backtrack to the entrance? Because I want to make sure this is done properly. But it's not worded on the escaping sheet that I can do that. You can try to escape from the dungeon. If the warrior carrying the lantern decides to leave, he either has to give the lantern or they all have to go with him. If your warrior takes flight and tries to escape from the dungeon, roll 2d6 on the following table. Now, I really do appreciate the help. It's your game. You can just make up your own rules to escape or not die. Just have fun. I know. I have some very strange philosophies. I'll take a quote from Always Bored, Never Boring, who said, you shouldn't have to fix a game. And while I don't think a game like this needs to be fixed at all, I'm not saying that. It's not broken. If it's not for me, it's not for me, and I think that that's fair. What I could see myself doing for sure, and I don't have any problem doing this. I don't feel like it's too off-brand or too unreasonable. If I get a total party kill, I'll just retain whatever I had before the quest started and start back over from square one, so to speak. No pun intended. That is the most accessible compromise I think a team of adventurers could have. Instead of wiping out my adventurers permanently and killing them off for good, kind of like you would in Hero Quest if you don't get the treasure that they had in that quest. Kind of like how the Lurch Brick version of the game handled it anyway. Then that's something I would do. I think I will do that. I'm a huge advocate of the concept that one should first know all the rules before you break them. So I'm not talking about breaking the rules before I know them or changing anything that I'm ignorant about. I wouldn't do that. And that's totally up to him to think that way and up to anybody else to think that way. If it's their game regardless. Nobody can tell you how to play. The rule book can definitely tell you how to play, but the rule book is the context of the rule book. What I am doing right now is trying to figure out those rules so that I can figure out how to strategize a little bit better. But regardless, I would definitely be picking up that save point method. So I respect the quote, but it wouldn't change that necessarily. I'll put it this way. Everybody will have their own way to approach any given game. And some of that is changeable, some of it's malleable, but some of it's just, you know what you like. And some of what you like is going to be in the reward side, and some of what you don't like is going to be in the challenge side. And where that line exactly is drawn is it's going to be on the game to draw it without knowing what you like and don't like, and it's going to be on you to figure out whether the reward is worth the challenge, just like anything else. And in this case, it's absolutely worth it. If I can leave and kind of regroup my people and get out of here. And I know it sounds like I'm just complaining at this point, like I'm ranting. I'm not. I don't mean to. I don't mean to at all. I'm just I'm getting into that soapbox territory is all. And I'm really talking about every game right now. I'm not talking about Warhammer Quest. Warhammer Quest is clean. This is clean. It is very challenging. I did find the video game to be a bit frustrating, but that's only because the challenge scaled up faster than I was ready for it to. Elvilers has to run for a work thing. Have fun. Hey, you too. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate your time here. The stream's about over anyway, so you won't miss anything here on out. But if it's not explicitly stated that I won't be able to leave without rolling on the escape table, then that quote has more relevance than I thought. Because leaving without using the escape table would be breaking the rules. Page 18 of the rulebook. Come here, rulebook. Thank you for that. Page 18 of the rulebook. Block diagonals, pinning, escape from pinning. When can a warrior fight? Exploring, dungeon, entrance. It also leads out. If the adventurers wish to retrace their steps and leave, they can do so. Provided, of course, that their way is not blocked by a cave-in or portcullis. Note that usually the warrior's objective will provide an alternative and often easier way out, so it is rarely necessary for them to retrace their steps. That may be true. However, in this case, it's a matter of risk. I lost my wizard, and I just want to get him a new wizard back. Okay, I won't get this wizard back. I'll have to get a new wizard back, because I'm going to accept my losses whenever I retrace to leave. All right, then that is what I will do. Thank you very much for looking for that for me, because I didn't think it was going to be possible without rolling. If you become invested in your characters and want them to keep going, do what you want. It's your table. House ruled or by the book doesn't mean either is wrong. Unless you're a rules lawyer. I'm a rules lawyer to an extent. I'm a rules lawyer where I think it matters. Like, here's the intent of the game. And I love playing games by their rules 100%, up to the point of what's interpretable. And then if it's interpretable, then my table usually talks it out. We're like, what could this mean? What do other games of this genre do in this situation if this is vague? Hire a new battle mage in the local tavern. I can't. I don't have the mini. Actually, I might have the mini. No, I don't think I do. Well, I won't allow myself to use any of the expansion characters unless I get the expansions. Unless you're saying the battle mage is somebody who I don't have to have an expansion for. We'll get into all of that. I'm going to study the role play book and see what my options are for in-between quests if the rules for shopping and things like that aren't covered. But for now, the important part is that I escape this dungeon. So I'm sorry, wizard. We have to go. The amount of squares that I would have to move is at most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 before I would be able to escape. That is a total of 4 power rolls because we can all move 4 spaces at a time. The wizard here is totally a battle mage. The Dungeon Dives Let's Play on Warhammer Quest demonstrates some creative ways to keep some dead heroes or TPKs. Well, I am planning on watching that. I don't know what I'm getting into as far as that goes, how many videos there are, how long they are, but I'm going to roll for getting out of here. And that's a 1. So, immediately, 1d6 orcs and 1d6 orcs archers. That is what we have to look forward to in the next playthrough as I work towards getting out of this dungeon so that I can gear up a little bit before my next playthrough. For now, thank you guys very much for dropping in. Sorry to get on the soapbox and get into all of that ranting. It's not something I usually do. It's usually something I avoid. And I usually avoid places where it happens. But in this case, I really just wanted to talk about what might happen if I can't get my head wrapped around things and if I suck too badly, basically. Because I always have Hero Quest stuff to go to, and I have plenty on that docket. But this is something that I want to do, so worry not. This is something that I really intend to see through and get done, at least until I've completed the very first quest successfully. Once I've done that, and I've got characters with actual things that they've been able to acquire, earn, and keep, and I can save them and start my new quest with a slight advantage to where I was when I had my first quest, this one, well, I'll only get better. I'll only get more invested in them. So 7 videos about 20 minutes, that's reasonable. That's fine. I was hoping like not for an hour and a half long stuff, but that sounds digestible, so good. Fun game. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate you. Thank you, other guys and gals. I don't think there were any gals, but if there were, then thank you guys for dropping in as well. And I'll see you next Wednesday live, same place, same time. For now, I'm going to leave everything here, frozen in time. And we'll return to place these stupid greenskins on the board. It's just 1d6. It's just 1d6. Orcs, that's 6 orcs. Good God. How many archers? 4. Oh, I'm doomed. That's what I get for not ending the stream and rolling next week.
I had spent it